Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. Flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Oh, yeah. Nigeria will flourish again. Yeah. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land. Restore us again. God will heal our land. Restore us again. We're claiming this land for the Lord. We're ready for restoration. We're claiming this land for the Lord. We're ready for restoration. From the north to the south, the east to the west, Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. I know. Nigeria will flourish again. Yes, I know. I'm very sure. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land. God will heal our land. Restore us again. Restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. I say God will heal our land. God will heal our land. Restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. By faith we speak life to this land, expecting healing in return. By faith we speak life to this land, expecting healing in return. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish 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 again. On the mountaintop. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land. God will heal our land. Restore us.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you are joining us for this event. Today, June 12, marks Democracy Day in Nigeria. What a better way to commemorate this than to have a conversation about rethinking the Nigerian state. I am Bumi Biu, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this Democracy Day dialogue. Thank you for joining us today. The MC for today's event is Deborah, a Nigerian citizen resident in Calgary, a cosmopolitan city in Alberta, a province in Canada. She is a practicing professional accountant and is very passionate about the renaissance of the Nigerian state. Deborah is also a member of the PTB for Nigeria in Canada group. She will anchor and moderate today's meeting. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to you on behalf of the PTB for Nigeria Canada group and trust you will find today's dialogue thought-provoking, inspiring, and ultimately a call to action. Take it away, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Dr. B, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Deborah Akwesiola. I am a member of PTB Nigeria in Canada group. As your MC today, I will moderate today's event. We first of all want to acknowledge the writer of that song that we've been listening to, Nigeria Will Flourish Again, composed by Uche Chukwendu. We are grateful to him for allowing us to use it at will. Now, to the program of today. You are all welcome to Democracy Day Dialogue with Dr. Tunde Bakare on this day, June 12th, a symbolic day in the life of our dear nation, Nigeria. The theme for today's dialogue is titled, Rethinking the Nigerian State. I believe we are all here because we are passionate about Nigeria, and also because we all want to see a better Nigeria. But before we start, there are a few housekeeping items I want to highlight. You are consenting to recording by logging into this Zoom meeting. At this juncture, I want to say there are other outlets where you can listen to what we're doing now. You can participate in what we're doing today. We have the YouTube as well. You can go on it. But as you have joined the Zoom meeting, you are consenting to recording. Also, everyone will be muted to ensure we do not experience disruptions and distractions. All chats has been disabled to ensure easy access to people in charge of Q&A. So that being said, why are we here today? Who are we? PTB for Nigeria in Canada group consists of passionate and patriotic Nigerians resident in Canada and United States of America. We started out with members from Canada. We now have a few members from the US, and we are hoping to become a global organization. We are a non-religious and non-partisan group with the sole aim of contributing our quota to rebuilding the Nigerian state. The question is, what have we done? Where did we surface from? What have we done so far? I will quote the cowboys around us here in Calgary. Says, this is not our first rodeo. A few of us in Calgary, province of Alberta, Canada, got together in March 2018 after seeing the level of order in our location outside of Nigeria. Our desire is to have a replication of this experience in Nigeria. As a group, we voluntarily gave our time and resources to organizing a town hall meeting in Calgary on Saturday, October 13, 2018, with Dr. Tunde Bakare as our guest speaker. At that town hall meeting, Dr. Tunde Bakare delivered a speech titled Renegotiating the Nigerian State to a 250 capacity audience. Remember, this program is sponsored by this group. Dr. Bakare is not a member, neither is any of his family member. He is a guest in our midst. Why are we doing what we're doing? From where we're living, we're not in Nigeria. Why are we doing it? We should just ignore what is happening. We as patriotic Nigerians, we desire a new Nigeria where peace, order, and good governance are the reasons for government, where service is the reason for seeking public office, and where the promotion and delivery of citizens' welfare is the rationale for government existence. We do what we do because we do not want to live in denial of all the happenings in Nigeria, the insecurity, economic misfortune, corruption, banditry, ethnic distrust, and visionless leadership, to mention a few of them. All these and many more frustrating situations facing us as Nigerians today inspired us to engage Dr. Tunde Bakare yet again in his capacity as a nation builder and statesman, and more importantly, as one whose interventions in the Nigerian polity has positioned him as the foremost restructuring advocate. Dr. Tunde Bakare will be properly introduced in due course. Meanwhile, if I have to ask by show of hand and what questions, concerns we have on Nigeria today, perhaps some common threads may be, is this the Nigeria we desire and deserve? Is this the best that can come out of Nigeria in terms of governance? How much longer shall Nigeria remain potentially great? And for those of us that are present today, as citizens and non-state actors, do we have roles in rebuilding Nigeria? As citizens, what is our role in rebuilding Nigeria? Spectators, complainers, or active and engaged citizens? Our goal today is to sensitize Nigerians everywhere in the world on the imperative of rising up and joining others to rebuild Nigeria and building the nation of our dream. Today, we are going to have 30-minute speech with Dr. Tunde Bakare as part of our agenda for today. 1 hour for question and answer. We encourage everyone to post questions to the chat. These questions will be anchored, this question session will be anchored by Fumi Ajayi as we proceed. All questions will be anonymous, and we encourage everyone to ask their questions with all sense of civility and responsibility. Please post your questions to Q&A Paul, Q&A Shegu in the chat room. Go into the chat room and post your questions to these two people only. Any other question posted to any other chat room may not be answered because we may not see it. So within the time frame of 1 hour, we will bring all questions to the attention of Dr. Tunde Bakare, and we are confident that answers will be provided. We will endeavor not to repeat questions by arranging questions under common themes, but just in case we are unable to ask all questions because of time constraint, it will probably be because of many people in the room, because we are from different time zones. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I will start the program. And right now, we are going to give respect to our nation that we're trying to build, the nation that we're looking forward to, by singing the national anthem. Thank you so much for that. And the next thing on our agenda today is to hear the voice of our future, the voice of the Nigerian youth. We have two people in our midst that are going to express a part of what our youth are expecting from us. They are the future of Nigeria. What are we living for them? So I'm introducing Toluwanimi Ajayi and Inioluwa Olorunishola to give us a piece of what the youth desire from us to carry this nation forward.
Hi, Annie. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just excited to have this conversation. Just in the next couple of minutes, get to know more about how the diaspora is thinking and just where we're at with Nigeria and stuff. So I'm going to start off by asking you, why did you leave Nigeria? I know Nigeria is a vibrant country. Lagos is also a vibrant city full of culture, good food, good people, good community. So what made you come to Canada to do your studies?
Okay. So I think I was just blessed. Like, I remember when my dad called me when I was in high school and asking me if I wanted to come to Canada for university. And like, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, let's have it. So yeah, I was just blessed and I've enjoyed it. I thank God.
But what I'm saying is, there was no convincing needed, basically. Like, you was just...
No, yeah, like, I mean, Canada, Nigeria, I was like, yeah, I mean, Canada, no.
Right.
For now, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So then, as there's lots of people in across the world that are from Nigeria, contributing to different economies and organizations, it's most likely that I live in a very small city, but I know lots of Nigerians. So it's very possible that you will meet another Nigerian in wherever you're at, and maybe even create small communities around, based on that identity that you have as Nigerians. But why is it that lots of people are in the diaspora rather than in their home country? What will really attract people back into Nigeria, especially young people?
Okay. So I think generally, if Nigeria has stronger institutions in general,
right,
people would come back. Like, if, government work, the political class did what they were meant to do, like the educational system was working, there's health, there's environmental, what else? There's the family.
The family. And that was one that we have spoken about previously. Like, the family unit is very important because that's where it all starts, in building young people and like grooming them to become leaders in the country, right?
Exactly. So I think if the country is more serious about like all the institutions as a whole, there's also technology and industry and all these other too much work, right? And people see, like, people count, people have eyes. People consume so much data like now.
Absolutely. So and another thing that I've even noticed is that, people across the world notice one thing about Nigerians: we're very hardworking. And in the society and the world we're living in, innovation and just thinking beyond the scope of what is presented in front of you is important. And I think that if people in the diaspora would come back home, and if we were attracted if we saw like some sort of movement or something that would, was showing some sort of hope for Nigerians, that there's something better, then I think we would be willing to come back and contribute in the way that we are contributing to other countries, rather than, just staying here.
Exactly. Like, everyone, like, I mean, I would like to live in like a really good Nigeria, but for now, money.
Right. And so lastly, I'll talk about the Nigerian dream. And when I was bringing this up with my friends, I was like, what's the Nigerian dream? And a lot of them just said, it's living abroad. It's having the Nigerian blood, but moving, but living, having the culture and everything, but living outside of Nigeria. And as much as we chuckled a bit, it's really saddening to hear that, especially from young Nigerians, because I know that a lot of people, and I believe too, that we are the hope of Nigeria, and we are the ones that will really revive Nigeria. And so what's your take on what the Nigerian dream is? What does that term ignite inside of you?
Yeah, well, Nigeria, when I think Nigerian dream, I think a set of words, like an idea, vision. But again, like, I don't know. I think it's a hard question. I think that's a hard question. Like, the Nigerian dream to me sounds a bit abstract.
Okay.
But the best way I think about it is like a set of words, a set of ideals, almost like the national anthem. I think the national anthem was like beautifully composed, but I don't think a lot of people understand it.
That's true.
Whatever the dream is, I feel like it's like a communication thing. We're going to have to agree on whatever that is, and everybody's going to have an idea of what that dream is.
Right.
I just think the other part of it though is like, what next, right? It's if it's just words, Nigerians will just sing the words or recite the words. It will be business as usual, you know. As
any other institution, or even people, every year we create goals for ourselves, or lots of people create goals for themselves. Institutions have a vision, they have a mission that is widely known by the employees and everyone. But I think as much as it's words, it's still important. The Bible even says, know the vision, make it plain. Like it's important to have those things written down. And I think if people, Nigerians, the citizens understand a dream and see a leader that is living it out, then I think that it will inspire us to live it out rather than just, you know, have it as a national anthem or just like be able to recite just words. I think we'll be able to really embody it as citizens.
But one more thing, I like finally, whatever that dream is, though, I hope it's like free of, you know, like distractions, tribalism,
right,
like all that stuff. Like it has to be country oriented. You know, it's Nigerian. Like you're Nigerian first before whatever.
Absolutely, it needs to be a collective idea. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, and I hope that everybody watching has also enjoyed and maybe has a glimpse of, you know, what the Nigerian youth are thinking. Anyways, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Toluwanimi Ajayi and Imioluwa Olorunishola. That's thought-provoking. I think about it. If your children will come to you and say, Daddy, Mommy, what is your vision for us to live by when you are gone? What will be your answer? As Nigerians, do we even have vision to pass down to the generations that are coming behind us? Do we have anything right now? You can see what they've said. They don't even know where we're heading to. So these are the things that we want to talk about today that I believe Dr. Tunde Bakare will be able to address for us today. Next on our agenda is a video called Restructure Now. Dr. Tunde Bakare has been known to be the foremost restructuring advocate in Nigeria. And he has always been saying it from before anyone in Nigeria started the word restructure, restructure. So let's see one of the clips of video that we have that would show us what he has been saying in the time past. While we're trying to sort out that technical glitch, I guess we are on. Can you pump up the volume, please?
It's the second time to you. Who are the dead? So if you don't understand what restructuring is, just look back and see the ground pyramids in the north. That was what financed Ahmadu Bello University and all the great things that Ahmadu Bello did in his days. If you don't understand restructuring, consider the golden era of the region and look at what Cocoa did. Free education, first television, first stadium, and all the high-rise and everything that Ahmadu did came from Cocoa from the West. If you don't understand restructuring, look back in the East and see what they did with palm oil and with coal from Udi Hills, including the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And anyone who does not understand restructuring, go back to the 1963 Republican Constitution and understand the evolution of power. And if you don't understand, take the document in your hand that Nasir El-Rufai committee put together and the 12 things that they stated. If you don't do it fast, you have yourself to blame. There's going to be restructuring in this land. There'll be fairness, there'll be equity, there'll be justice, there'll be security, there'll be increase. Every Nigerian with power to call himself or herself a Nigerian is going to be God first, nation second, and you last. We are going to prioritize God and prioritize our nation, and we will get tangible results. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It's an idea whose time has come, and there's no army as powerful as an idea whose time. Am I hearing you say restructuring?
Thank you so much for that. This is the tip of the iceberg that we are going to hear today. He's going to give us more of this today. And if you have any question, like I said earlier, please post your question to Q&A, Paul, Q&A, Shegun. Look into the chat room and post those questions there. When you post it there, there's a team of people at the back end that are organizing these questions. So make haste. Everything that you're pondering on that is disturbing your mind, please post it there. No, don't hold anything back to yourself. Thank you. So we are going into spoken word. Spoken word will be given by Mr. Akinfade. Akinfade is the founder and executive director of Akinfade Foundation and convener of the Corruption Not in My Country project. He is a graduate of English and Literary Studies from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and obtained his postgraduate degree in international law and diplomacy from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. He was a beneficiary of the MacArthur Foundation sponsorship support to acquire executive certificate education on behavioral insight to public policy design at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Akin served as the lead consultant on various development projects, such as the United Nations on gender equality and public issue awareness, and others. Akinfade was a member of the Federal Government Ministerial Committee on Lassa Fever Control and Federal Government Committee on Primary Healthcare Development. His passion for transparent governance and accountable leadership led to the deploying of robust media to broadcast messages against retail corruption since 2015 through his conceptualized Corruption Not in My Country project. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Akinfade.
It's an honor to be here, and my respect to everyone present. A few days after the Chief of Army Staff died, the last Chief of Army Staff, a conversation came up between a big sister of mine and a friend about what Dr. Tunde Bakare will be feeling now if the CPC arrangements actually went through and he became the Vice President of Nigeria. And both of us, by consensus, we didn't know how it happened, but we just realized we went into a particular song. We said Dr. Bakare would likely be saying, Oluwa, Oluwa, wa, Olorun, Olorun, Olowo ori mi, mo dúpẹ́ tó kó mi yọ. If I'm wrong, Dr. Bakare should say so when we're done. It's easy to conjecture this because we all know that currently Nigeria is under the siege of sophistry from pretentious Democrats. And because it's pretentious democracy, a lot of citizens are seeming to find comfort in this comfort zone that regional agitators are providing for us. Dr. Bakare probably should be wondering, what would he have done now that the nation is going up in flames? And the reason you'll be singing that would be, can anyone imagine for us to wake up one day and see newspapers screaming, Malami sacks Vice President Bakare? Food for thought. It speaks to what we're dealing with currently. Emilio Iodis, who is an Italian author living in Washington, said, democracy, all within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state, is beautiful in theory, but in practice, it's a fallacy. He said the crowd loves strong men. And if strong men can give them faith that mountains can be moved, they would accept the illusion that political mountains are movable. And thus, it becomes an illusion that has become a reality. So is our own democracy currently an illusion? How do we rethink democracy? Is it by weaponizing expletives like people do on social media these days? Throwing toxic narratives at one another? Spin hate? I don't think so. I think democracy should be the fertile ground to exchange robust ideas. I think government in a democracy should work towards creatively unlocking innovative opportunities. The National Bureau of Statistics, 2021 stats currently puts our unemployment rate at 32.50%. Let's do a quick reflection. Where again is the workshop of the devil? Idle hands, they said. If it's idle hands, it means rethinking democracy will make us understand that gainful employment is critical to peace, and lack of it currently is setting our democracy on fire. This connotes that there's a robust, unmistakable linkage between a sustainable democracy and economic prosperity. Rethinking democracy, therefore, is understanding that owing to non-existent governance, Nigerian women are being raped, and this includes pregnant women, this includes nursing mothers, widows are being abused, girls are being traumatized. Right now, there must be an intentional focus on raising socially inclusive and empowered women as key drivers of economic growth. I mean, if you don't build a society, if you don't build the women, how can you build a society? Rethinking democracy is not just limited to politics. We should appraise and address the challenges arising from technological, digital, and productive alterations post-COVID-19. Our strategy for development should necessarily incorporate fourth industrial revolution tools. It must involve keying into the emergence of new technologies and increasing automation of the economy, which should be solely targeted at transforming lives. This is how developed nations rethink democracy. Let's be clear, our economy is dwindling, and without productivity, we have been breeding monsters as a nation, scattered all over our forests, scattered all over our corners, street corners. And what we have now is a sudden, beleaguered nation where might is right. Rethinking democracy means we should hold leadership to accountability. Rethinking democracy means our president, with due regards, cannot in one breath say those carrying AK-47 and kidnapping are not herdsmen, but in the same breath says Igbos are a dot in a space who will find nowhere to go if they exit. That's regrettable. It's all by himself by saying that, setting democracy on fire. Those remarks are discriminatory and they are inflammatory. Rethinking democracy should provoke in us to demand respect for Igbos and all ethnic groups, no matter how minute they are. Rethinking democracy means that we should remember that already Nigeria is amongst failed states index 2020 report. We're grouped with Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, South Sudan. This is not happy, fine. It is a grim picture. Rethinking democracy means we should desist from anything that even tempts us to think we should burn our nation. And that's why we're happy today, even as we feel sober, that about 10 years after Dr. Bakare organized the Save Nigeria group, we're almost back at the barricades, demanding for accountable governance. But let me make this clear. We should not think of burning this nation. Because if we do so, we might end up as third-rate or second-rate citizens elsewhere. And because we shouldn't burn this nation, there's not so much we can say within the time allotted to me. But let me share this with us.
He's from the East. He made Nigeria proud. He's from the North. He made Nigeria proud. From the Southwest, he made Nigeria proud. And as they all make us proud, our joy was without boundaries. That was joy brought about by peace. Peace took you to families. Peace took you to viewing centers. It enabled you play together. But peace or war is a choice. This is what war looks like. But remember, when you sound the alarm of war, you may not live to tell the tale. From our beautiful, diverse
Sorry about that, please.
He's from the East. He made Nigeria proud. He's from the North. He made Nigeria proud. From the Southwest, he made Nigeria proud. And as they all make us proud, our joy was without boundaries. That was joy brought about by peace. Peace took you to families. Peace took you to viewing centers. It enabled you play together. But peace or war is a choice. This is what war looks like. But remember, when you sound the alarm of war, you may not live to tell the tale. From our beautiful, diverse backgrounds, we're first human beings before ethnic groupings. The carnage leaves us with sorrow. The destructions leaves us in penury. Preach peace to your neighbor, your mechanic, your barber, your area, and they will preach it to their friends.
Now is the time to come together to build a new Nigeria that works for every Nigerian. A Nigeria where no child goes to bed hungry and no child is left out of school.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation.
Finally, with this grim picture placed side by side between peace and war, I call on everyone that calls Mr. President Baba and lack the courage to ask the critical questions. I like to say to them that those of us who are asking critical questions are patriots, genuine patriots. Misguided loyalty is cancerous because it enslaves people to sycophancy. That's why today we're witnessing not just unfailing governance, but also a repulsive enablement of yes men. I wish Nigeria the best as we continue to rethink democracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akinfade. I picked some things out of that. As a diasporan, I'm thinking of what am I supposed to be doing to help in the rebuilding of Nigeria? I pick one thing from your words. Are we part of the people weaponizing narratives? I think it's a question to ponder on as individuals, on our WhatsApp groups, on Facebook, on all those areas. Are we exchanging robust ideas, or are we the ones that are shooting down the ideas that people are bringing on? Let's rethink Nigeria, not just from the political aspect of things, but from the economic side of things. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinfade. That is very thought-provoking. And the next thing on our agenda today is a video that we want to show to you, a collage of videos that shows the problems of Nigeria. Like Dr. Bakare will say it, nationhood and statehood. Let's hear this.
Those who turn Nigeria around are already positioned. There's no other mediator between man and God apart from the man Christ Jesus. There's no other foundation that can be laid apart from that which has been laid. I don't care who is saying what negative about Nigeria. This country will be saved and this country will become great in my lifetime. The conspicuous handwriting on the wall. The state of the nation has spurred outcries from stakeholders across the country. We have heard from the Emir of Daura, Alhaji Umar Farouk, who lamented that what Nigeria is experiencing now is worse than civil war. We have heard from the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Hussain Abubakar, 3, CFR, who declared that the North is, in his words, the worst place to be in this country because bandits go around in the villages, households, and markets with their AK-47 and nobody is challenging them. We have also heard from the Oni of Ife, Obadeye Enito Ogunwusi, who is speaking on behalf of other Yoruba traditional rulers, including the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, and the Awujale, Oba Sikiru Kade Adetono, cried out to the president over the state of insecurity in the Southwest. The lamentations of the royal fathers have been echoed by social cultural groups across the country, including Ohaneze Indigo, the Arewa Consultative Forum, and Afenifere. The Northern Elders Forum has gone as far as calling for the resignation of the president. Even governors and lawmakers have joined the lamentations. From one declaration to another, and from one resolution to another, the consensus among the stakeholders is that Nigeria is in a state of emergency. Consequently, if urgent, decisive action is not taken, insecurity may be the second-term curse of the current administration. This is the conspicuous handwriting on the wall. The foundational gaps. Nigeria has two fundamental problems. How many? I can hear you. That's all. Nigeria has two fundamental problems. One at the level of nationhood and the other at the level of statehood. Nationhood, statehood. The first fundamental problem of the Nigerian nation is the absence of such unifying leadership that can redeem Nigerians from our diverse ethnic and religious identities and integrate us into a common national identity. The second fundamental problem of the Nigerian state is our inability to manage a sustainable and balanced relationship between the center and the federating units. That's all. We have failed to realize that a strong federal government working with strong federating units can guarantee the security and prosperity of the Nigerian people. We have failed to appreciate the fact that coordinated governance by the different states in each of the geopolitical zones will enhance the security of Nigerians and bring our people out of poverty. This is the heart and soul of restructuring. Restructuring does not mean the dismemberment of the Nigerian state. Restructuring is not an attack on Nigerian unity. Restructuring does not mean disadvantaging any section of the country. It means empowering the Northwest, the North Central, the Northeast, the Southwest, the South-South, and the Southeast, so that every part of our country will be safe and prosperous. Show me one person who does not want this for our country, and I will show you an enemy of Nigeria.
Thank you so much. That is very awesome. And that is one of the foundation of the truth that we're going to disclose today, that we're going to hear from Dr. Tunde Bakare today. Before I go on, I just want to encourage, I see some people raising their hands. Can you please post your questions to Q&A, Shegun, Q&A, Paul. Look into the chat room and post your questions to Q&A, Shegun, and Q&A. Paul. Right now, I'm going to call on Professor Joseph Osuji that is going to introduce Dr. Bakare for his speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I am Joseph Osuji, a member of the Pastor Tunde Bakare for Nigeria in Canada group. It is my privilege and honor to introduce and welcome Dr. Tunde Bakare to this important event. Although he does not require much introduction within the Nigerian polity and national life, please permit me to say a few words of introduction about this lover of our great nation, Nigeria. Dr. Tunde Bakare is the serving overseer, Citadel Global Community Church, and the president of Latter Rain Ministries Incorporated, Atlanta, Georgia. He presides over the Global Apostolic Impact Network, a network of churches, ministries, and kingdom businesses committed to advancing the kingdom of God on earth. Dr. Tunde Bakare was the convener, Save Nigeria Group, and the vice presidential candidate to President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2011 presidential election. He was a delegate to the 2014 National Conference and the inaugural chairman of the Advisory Council of the Africa Office of the Royal Commonwealth Society. Dr. Tunde Bakare was honored with a Doctor of Ministry degree by the Indiana Christian University in 1996 in recognition of his years of exploits and global impact in ministry. He presides over the International Center for Reconstruction and Development, a knowledge industry think tank established in 2007 and devoted to re-engineering the socio-economic and political landscape of Nigeria in particular and Africa in general. Dr. Tunde Bakare also presides over the Family Heritage Foundation, a non-governmental organization that gives scholarship to less privileged students from all walks of life within and outside Nigeria. Dr. Tunde Bakare was born on November 11, 1954 in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria. He earned his law degree from the University of Lagos in 1980 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1981. Dr. Tunde Bakare practiced law with the Ghani Chambers, Rotimi Williams and Co., and Buck and Co. solicitors. He then established Tunde Bakare and Co. El Shaddai Chambers in 1984. Dr. Tunde Bakare is a nation builder, a tireless statesman, and an ardent restructuring advocate. He is a staunch believer of the new Nigeria and works tirelessly to make that happen sooner than later by his advocacy works and speaking truth to power. He is happily married to Mrs. Laide Bakare and they are blessed with children. Please join me with an applause to welcome Dr. Tunde Bakare to today's event. Thank you very much.
Patriots and lovers of Nigeria at home and abroad, current and emerging Nigerian leaders listening in this day, future generations of Nigerian leaders, who we refer to this address as one of the blueprints for governing the new Nigeria, gentlemen of the press, It is from a posture of sober reflection that I speak to you on this remarkable day, June 12, 2021. Today marks the third annual Democracy Day celebration since June 12 replaced May 29 as Nigeria's Democracy Day by a presidential declaration. And as you are well aware, the institution of June 12 as Democracy Day was done in honor of the historic events that occurred 28 years ago on June 12, 1993, when the propensity of the Nigerian electorate towards vibrant participatory democracy was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. From the galvanizing ethos of national unity, embodied by the winner of that election, the late Basharu Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, GCFR, to the enthusiastic embrace of the Hope 93 campaign and its farewell to poverty manifesto by Nigerians across ethnic and religious divides, to the courageous rallying of Nigerians when that election was annulled by an anti-democratic military junta, and to the eventual return to civil rule in the aftermath of the heroic sacrifice of Chief MKO Abiola and other icons of democracy, there is no doubt that June 12 is indeed Nigeria's Democracy Day. And wherever you may be in the world, happy Democracy Day to you all. And we trust God that in the days to come, true democracy will be a reality in our nation and in our country. On a personal note, while sober by the state of the nation, I am grateful to God, not only because my admonition to the government to honor Chief MKO Abiola posthumously was eventually heeded 3 years ago, but also because by divinely orchestrated coincidence, or if you like, a God incident, my first grandchild, my prince, Rere Oluwade Fabode, arrived exactly a year ago today on June 12, 2020. And for his sake, and the sakes of those who will come after him, I'm all the more strengthened in my resolve to work assiduously with the generation of his parents to hand over to his generation a Nigeria that is worth growing up and living in. Indeed, our generation, yours and mine, has a responsibility to secure the future in the present for the sake of their generation and generation after theirs, because as Israel's journey to nationhood from the days of Joshua to the era of Judges admonishes us, territories not redeemed by the fathers could become slippery slopes even for children yet unborn. Every generation has its battles. By divine order and strategy, peculiar battles are reserved for each generation to maintain optimal capacity from one generation to another. Hence, nation building is a continuum. The drive towards a desirable nation is like a relay race in which each preceding generation hands a baton to the next, so that each emerging generation advances the nation to new frontiers. It is therefore our responsibility as present-day nation builders not only to create an enabling environment for emerging and future generations of nation builders, but to ensure that we do not leave a legacy of unresolved issues that could constitute booby traps for the next and future generations of Nigerians. Therefore, as we examine the subject, rethinking the Nigerian state, the purpose of this address is to outline the process that Nigeria must go through in our reemergence so that the present generation of nation builders will understand those aspects of the Nigerian project that are undeniably its responsibility and which must not be left to future generations. Let me talk on the making of nations and the concept of the state. To facilitate your appreciation of the national rebirth process, permit me to lay the background of the making of nations by referring you to excerpts from an address I gave on the occasion of the 10th annual lecture of the Nigerian Bar Association, Ikeja branch, held in honor of the late Chief Gani Fahimi GCON, my boss, on January 15, 2014, titled Nigeria at Centenary, a Nation Under Bondage. Without recourse to complex theories of political science, we can deduce the purpose of nations from simple social interactions. This may be elementary, but it's important. Man's quest for provision, protection, power, promotion, peace, and progress is an acknowledgement of his need for something transcendental, something beyond his current grasp, a higher ideal that he cannot pursue alone. It is not good for man to be alone, is how the good book puts it. As one, there's only so much he can attain, and so the institution of family is created. And the exponential law in his pursuit of progress is that one can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000. As ideals become higher and goals become greater, social interactions naturally become more complex, from the family to the community and eventually to the nation, which is a group of complex communities bound together by the common pursuit of progress. The shared ideal to which this group aspires becomes embodied in the culture of the group. That ideal may find expression in such concepts as liberty, equality, fraternity, as in the French case, or democracy and separation of powers, as in the American case. The need for an orderly pursuit of progress necessitates the organization of the group into units such that a structure evolves. The common ideal for which the group strives is manifest in the provision of public goods that are served through institutions. But the working of these institutions must be guided by predictable norms in order to guarantee stability, and the existence of laws that reflect that ideal to which they strive, at which point that ideal takes the form of a constitution, whether written or unwritten. For the culture to be preserved, for the structure to be accurately delineated, for institutions to function properly, and for the Constitution to be enforced against possible divine behavior, government is necessary. Hence, the group finds able persons from among themselves upon whom they confer authority and power to act on their behalf as provided by the Constitution. This framework is known as the state. As I stated in that lecture, a nation is comparable to a tripartite human. Man is a spirit, he has a soul, and he dwells in a body. In a similar vein, a nation is a corporate spiritual entity that has a soul. The soul of the nation is the ideal to which the nation aspires. I heard those young people talking about the Nigerian dream a little while ago. The soul of the nation is the ideal to which the nation aspires, while the state is a bodily framework within which the nation and the national ideal exist and function. The Nigerian ideal and the making of the Nigerian state. The Nigerian ideal is a nationalist spirit that roused the likes of Albert Macaulay when they rallied the Lagos electorate around the mantra, no taxation without representation, echoing the bastions of the American Revolution, the Sons of Liberty. The Nigerian ideal is that quest for human dignity that drove the lives of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and Sir Ahmadu Bello, who together with other founding fathers and mothers sat at the table of brotherhood, sometimes in heated disagreements, and other times in the spirit of trustful give and take, as they worked out acceptable frameworks for coexistence. The Nigerian ideal is that ethos that was captured in our founding anthem, the lyrics of which espouse the possibilities of a united Nigeria, a land of diversity, equality, truth, and justice, a nation where no one is oppressed. The Nigerian nation, driven by this ideal, found bodily expression in a Nigerian state whose frameworks were defined in the 1963 Republican Constitution. This constitutional framework structured the Nigerian state along regional federating lines such that each region was empowered to pursue its ideals and aspirations within the context of a Nigerian national ideal. In this regard, each region had its constitution and coat of arms. Each region. The regions had residual constitutional powers within the national constitutional framework and could create and administer local or native police forces. Furthermore, the regions enjoyed a great degree of economic autonomy, receiving 50% of mining royalties and rents derived from it. In essence, the federating units were structured for internal self-determination and regional geoeconomic competitive advantage. The ordeals of the Nigerian state, however, the frameworks of the Nigerian state came under heavy onslaught from the combined forces of a corrupt political class and an impetuous military. The onslaught came to a head on May 24, 1966, when the Unification Decree terminated Nigeria's federal structure and replaced it with a unitary system. Subsequently, the Nigerian state tottered through 6 decades of instability, survived the civil war, and embarked on a series of failed democratic experiments and military interregna. And upon the return to civil rule on May 29, 1999, the frameworks of state, including the democratic culture, the federal culture, and the institutions of public service delivery, had completely degenerated. The 1999 Constitution, crafted in an attempt to reconstitute these frameworks, was marred by numerous aberrations, including a false premise of "we the people," an array of ambiguities, and a cocktail of inconsistencies. This cultural, structural, institutional, and constitutional dysfunction was crowned with a leadership deficit that lent credence to Chinua Achebe's 1983 treatise, The Trouble with Nigeria. In Achebe's words, the trouble with Nigeria is simply as clearly a failure of leadership. The cumbering elements of statehood have continued to deteriorate from one administration to another since the return to civil rule in 1999. And they are now sinking to unprecedented lows in the current administration. Assessing the current situation, a former United States ambassador to Nigeria, John Campbell, in a recent article he co-authored titled "Nigeria is a Failed State," had this to say: Nigeria has long teetered on the precipice of failure, but now unable to keep its citizens safe and secure, Nigeria has become a fully failed state of critical geopolitical concern. Its failures matters because the peace and prosperity of Africa and preventing the spread of disorder and militancy around the globe depend on a stronger Nigeria. Perhaps anticipating that his description of Nigeria as a failed state may be challenged by the ever-ready defenders of the status quo, John Campbell proceeded to justify his claim by stating, all failed states harbor some form of violent internal strife, such as civil war or insurgency. Nigeria now confronts 6 or more internal insurrections, and the inability of the Nigerian state to provide peace and stability to its people has tipped a hitherto very weak state into failure. Fellow Nigerians home and abroad, whether or not we agree with John Campbell, The point in history at which we stand is full of promise and danger. To paraphrase President Franklin D. Roosevelt, our nation will either move forward toward unity and widely shared prosperity, or it will move apart. Now to rethinking the Nigerian state. The question before us today is, how do we reconfigure the Nigerian state to reverse this trend of state failure? To answer this question, we must lay hold of a tripartite chance at national rebirth and a return to our national ideals, with the June 12 Democracy Day celebration represents to us. These three chances include: number one, a chance at reconciliation. Number two, a chance at reconstitution. And number three, a chance at reconstruction. Reconciliation, reconstitution, and reconstruction. Let me begin with a chance at reconciliation. By honoring Chief MKO Abiola and Chief Gani Fahimi in 2018, alongside with others, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari attempted to confront and redress a sore aspect of our past. In this spirit of reconciliation, which June 12 has come to represent, the Nigerian government must address and reconcile other historical grievances, including the following, and I'm itemizing 7 for your consideration and for you to think upon. Number one, the lingering memories of inhuman treatment, economic deprivation, marginalization, and non-inclusion of the Igbos that have festered since the end of the Civil War. Number two, the continued perception of repression among various cultural, sociocultural groups that have sustained an aversion to the Nigerian state and agitations of self-determination, as well as the rise of ethnic warlords like Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho. Number three, the cycle of bitterness and vengeance among some Fulanis and their host communities across the nation, sustained by the worsening farmer-herder crisis. Number four, the long shadow cast by the historical rivalry between the Sokoto Caliphate and the Kanem Borno Empire on the ongoing insurgency in the northeast and banditry in the northwest. Number five, the age-long sense of marginalization among so-called minorities in the northern and middle belt regions. Number six, the lingering discontent in the Niger Delta region as a result of continued environmental degradation, the contrasting underdevelopment of the region against the backdrop of oil wealth, and the history of bloodshed, including the killing of advocates like Ken Saro-Wiwa, festering wounds with the amnesty program, and the controversy and corruption reading Niger Delta Development Commission has failed to heal. And finally, number seven, the lingering feeling of exclusion from the governance of the Nigerian state by Nigerian women and Nigerian youth. Those are the things we have to consider at the level of reconciliation. Now, a chance at reconstitution. Upon reconciliation of these and other historical grievances, we must revisit the Nigerian Constitution. The death of General Sani Abacha, as many of you will still remember, and the consequent end of his brutal dictatorship 1 month before the ultimate sacrifice of Chief MKO Abiola, offered Nigeria an opportunity to return to the table of brotherhood to agree on the terms of our union. This step could have integrated the Nigerian people into true nationhood. However, the military government under General Abdulsalam Abubakar hurriedly hatched a transition program without the painstaking process of a constitutional conference. The current state of the nation is the offspring of that poorly executed transition process and the failure of subsequent governments to conclusively midwife constitutional rebirth. We cannot continue to avoid the inevitable. The sooner we realize the inevitability of the need to renegotiate our union, the more swiftly and decisively will we bring an end to this descent into anarchy and set Nigeria on the path of predictable progress. Therefore, beyond the ongoing alteration of the Constitution, being championed by the National Assembly, the present generation of nation builders must foster genuine national integration through pragmatic approach to restructuring Nigeria that will eventually deliver a new constitution, one that will be deserving of the introduction, we, the people of Nigeria. A chance at reconstruction. The final stage in this tripartite chance at nation building that June 12 represents to us is the reconstruction of our nation. This places a demand on present-day nation builders to embark on institution building. We must rebuild the institutions of accountability to stem the tide of corruption and institute a culture of integrity in public governance. We must rebuild the institutions of public service delivery towards the efficient provision of social infrastructure such as education and healthcare, as well as physical infrastructure such as housing and transportation, while facilitating economic growth and development. We must rebuild the institutions of good governance, including free and fair elections and a leadership development and selection process that discovers and deploys the best and the brightest Nigerians at home and abroad. In conclusion, let me reiterate that it is our responsibility as present-day nation builders to ensure national reconciliation. We must not put the cart before the horse. National reconstitution and national reconstruction to provide an enabling environment for the growth and optimization of future generations of Nigerians. It is our responsibility, and we must not leave it to the coming generations. As FDR once said, there's a mysterious cycle in human events. To some generations, much is given. Of other generations, much is expected. I perceive that this emerging generation of Nigerians has a rendezvous with destiny. Consequently, the emerging and coming generations of Nigerians, including the generation of my grandson, Rere Oluwade, must not bear the brunt of the mess that we and those before us have created. Their generation must not be burdened with tackling Boko Haram, insurgency in the southeast, banditry, kidnapping, or the farmer-herder crisis. Their generation should not have ever to exclaim, "Up NEPA," when darkness replaces light in our bedrooms and living rooms. Nor should they be handed a generator-powered economy or a pothole-infested road network. Their generation should not be burdened about comatose refineries, nor should they be bequeathed a growing debt burden that could render Nigerians slaves on their soil. Their generation should not have to march on the streets against police brutality or the inability of government to prevent or resolve the abductions of hundreds of schoolboys and girls. Their generation must not be burdened with a failed education system, nor should tens of millions of their peers be left out of school without access to education. Their generation should not be confronted with incessant strikes that turn 4-year university courses into 8 years of torture in dilapidated facilities under poorly paid teachers and sex for grades merchants masquerading as lecturers. There should not be a generation incapacitated with an inability to match the rising population with corresponding growth in job creation. Rather than these bleak prospects, there should be the generation that inherits the new Nigeria, a nation that runs on the dreams of patriotic fathers and the ideas and visions of a young generation of the most brilliant minds on the planet. There should be the generation that will leapfrog Nigeria to the forefront of the world beyond the fourth industrial revolution. There should be the generation that secures Nigeria's place in a globalized world characterized by the interface of digitalization, clean energy, hard space interactions, phenomenal economic competitiveness, and socio-cultural innovation. There should be that generation that places Nigeria, and as a matter of fact, Africa, at the apex of the next phase of human civilization. I'm hopeful that for the sake of that generation, God will rid Nigeria of our detractors and reverse the mood of the Nigerian state in these volatile times from that of agony to that of unprecedented happiness, as the psalmist prayed in Psalm 144, verse 11 to 15. He reads, and I quote, "Rescue me and deliver me from the hand of foreigners, whose mouths speak lying words, and whose right hand is the right hand of falsehood. That our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as pillars sculptured in Palestine, that our barns may be full, supplying all kinds of produce, that our sheep may bring forth thousands and 10,000s in our fields, that our oxen may be well laden, that there be no breaking in or going out, that there be no outcry in our streets. Happy are the people who are in such a state. Happy are the people whose God is the Lord." Fellow Nigerians, as statesmen and stateswomen who think of the next generation rather than as politicians who merely think of the next elections, though we cannot always build a future for our youth, yet we must endeavor to build our youth for the future. Therefore, we must not only rethink the current Nigerian state, but actively rebuild it so that the coming generations of Nigerians of diverse ethnic orientation, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Edo, Ijaw, Idoma, and so on, will be proud to say these three words: I am Nigerian. Nigeria will be saved, Nigeria will be changed, Nigeria will be great. And that in my lifetime and the lifetime of those listening. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, sir. That is awesome. Thank you. Reconciliation, reconstitution, and reconstruction. Let us build the future. Let us build our youth for the future and not just rebuilding the future for our youth. Thank you so much, Dr. Bakare. We are always delighted to hear you. Your words give hope, and I believe they all come from God. Thank you so much. At the moment, I'm going to introduce the person that will anchor the question and answer session in the person of Fumi Ajayi. She will anchor this session. Fumi, to you.
Thanks, Deborah. And thank you, Dr. Bakare, for that insightful speech. And I should pause there and say a happy birthday to Rere Olua on his first birthday. We hope that he will see the Nigeria that you live for, that you are working towards by God's grace. Greetings to everyone, and thank you for joining PTB for Nigeria in Canada group from all over the world for this Democracy Day dialogue with Dr. Tunde Bakare on rethinking the Nigerian state. My name is Fumi Ajayi, and I am honored to anchor the question and answer session of this event. I would also like to thank the dynamic team working behind the scene on the questions that have been posted on Zoom chats, and they are backing me up for this session. Well, for efficiency and to maximize the time that we have, the limited time we have for this event, we are grouping related questions asked under common themes. One or more questions will then be summarized from each theme, and these are the questions that I will be asking Dr. Bakare. If you do not hear your questions read out verbatim, it is not because your question has been ignored. It is because it has been coordinated with other related questions. Our goal is to do our best to ensure that every question that has been asked is well represented in how we read them out to Dr. Bakare in a short while. We crave your indulgence as we adopt this approach. Thank you. Dr. Bakare, the passionate speech you gave, and indeed your position and targeted actions with regards to nation building, echoes to me the words of Desmond Tutu that says, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness. So I want to thank you for representing the cross-section of Nigerians who have chosen to keep hope alive. And without further delay, I will get into the questions. Dr. Bakare, many Nigerians supported the candidacy of President Buhari in 2011, 2015, and 2019 because you ran with him or supported him or endorsed him. Consequently, many Nigerians see you as one of the architects of this government that has failed woefully in terms of security and economy. Why should they trust you again? Do you see a need to apologize to those who were misled in supporting him?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm not one to shy away from accepting responsibility for the choices I've made. But I would like to say to you that I've not acted at any time in my life outside of what I perceive to be God's will for my life. And I pursue such things with vigor. I cannot disown President Buhari today and say, oh, I know nothing about him, or he has failed woefully, therefore I will not touch him with a 12-foot pole. Let me say this, any friendship that ends never started or never began. I can say to you, without mincing words, that I spent up to 40, 45 minutes with him last night, still endeavoring or still doing our best to ensure that the multifaceted problems of Nigerians are tackled headlong. There are so many things that have gone wrong. Some were inherited, and some happened because in the course of his illness, many people did so many things one way or the other. But I'm not giving any flimsy excuse. Governance or government is a continuum. The problems that he inherited and the problems that are created by him will not make me say, oh, therefore, let's throw the bathwater and the baby out. There are some things that have been accomplished. You just have to come down to see things for yourself. Compare to where we were and where we are right now. Yes, many unfortunate things that happened. He himself said publicly, nothing disheartens him and nothing overwhelms him like what is happening in the Northwest today. He never envisaged that. And that's the nature of society. Angry youth and those who think they can make money from the process of crime and who have no jobs and whose means of livelihood have been deprived are decided to help themselves by kidnapping people, by demanding ransom, so much so that our economy has become ransom economy and foreign investment is not pouring in as it used to. But hear me, anybody that wants to blame me for 2011, 2015, and 2019 should also blame Samuel for anointing Saul. It was God who spoke to Samuel. It was God who brought Saul to Samuel. And it was God who asked him to anoint him as captain over his people. That Saul rebelled against God, that Saul did not perform according to the plan and purpose of God, does not make Samuel a worthless prophet. And it was the same God, it was the same Samuel, as you will hear loud and clear in the service tomorrow morning. There cannot be peace without the Prince of Peace. As you will hear tomorrow, it was the same Samuel God sent to Saul to announce his removal. And it was the same Samuel that anointed David as king over Israel. So to those who want to take me to the cleaners, congratulations, I've done something. May God grace you to do your own. We will not stop building and rebuilding until we get to that promised land where Nigeria will become a force to reckon with in the nations of the earth.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Bakare. I think you've spoken for yourself. I can't say anything over that. I have another question here. It says, you were part of the 2014 CONFAD that recommended, among other things, the creation of 52 states. Do you, as an individual, think that those states will be viable? Shouldn't we just maybe have 6 strong regional governments as the federating units, especially given that majority of the 36 states are performing poorly, unable to pay workers' salaries. Dr. Bakare, sir.
I'm sure you know that this present arrangement was executed by the military. There has been no civilian administration in the history of Nigeria that created these states that have become 36 failed or failing parastatals. Yes, the 2014 National Conference adopted that more states be created, but the principle and the spirit is lost on those who did not participate in that wonderful centenary conference. The issue arose not because we were thinking they were viable or not viable, because local governments and states have become subject of revenue distribution from federal allocation. We thought it's unfair for some geopolitical zone, as we have said, to have 7 states and for some to have 5 within the same country. It's not because they're viable or not viable. Let there be equality within the zones. Many local governments can be created by each zone or by each state, but let it be determined by the geopolitical zone and let there be equality and fairness, so that when you look at a zone, you are not seeing 5 states and you look, or less, 5 states, and you look at other, there are 7 states. It was the basis of equality that came into being, not viability as the the yardstick to create more states. And in any event, nothing has been done about that. We have advocated repeatedly. That was a consensus in 2014, but we have advocated repeatedly that we are better off with 6 geopolitical zones, and those zones may have as many states and as many local governments that each zone knows it can fund, it can finance, and it can sustain. If you devolve power from the center to the zones or to the states, each state will go at its own pace. That was what happened in the 1963 Constitution, and that's what we want to see again, the years of the golden era of the regions, where each state or each region or each geopolitical zone can go at its own pace and determine its own destiny. Don't forget, each region had its own constitution. Each region had its own coat of arms, and each region took 50% of every resource or minerals that are in their own land and remitted the rest to the center, so that center will have something to afford. The military changed that and turned the states and the regions into beggars who will come with bowls every month end to get some whatever crumbs from the master's table. We will reverse that. It will be reversed because this is not working and it cannot be sustained.
Okay, thank you, sir. I was just going to say that obviously this recommendation was not taken and it's not working. And that would lead me to my next question that says, are the ongoing events happening in Nigeria under President Buhari's watch part of your mandate when you were running mate, or has anything changed?
I can hear that question. Well, please repeat yourself.
Sorry, sir, I'll do that. I'll repeat that. Are the ongoing events happening in Nigeria today under President Buhari's watch, are they part of your mandate when you were his running mate, or has anything changed?
Well, the manifesto of the APC and the manifesto of CPC were not, there was no mega difference between the two. As a matter of fact, some of the things we plan to do and written the manifesto of the CPC, the party platform that I contested as his running mate or contested with him, had some brilliant ideas, not only for the restructuring of Nigeria, but how to sustain and maintain a buoyant economy in Nigeria. And if you read the manifesto of APC, you'll find similar things there. The issue is maybe the managers of the manifesto and the people who are in the engine room are different from what we conceived back then. until you step into the terrain yourself, you do not know how difficult government in a complex society like Nigeria is. We must give kudos where we should, and we must also confront government where we should. Is this where we want to be? Not at all. Look, now I have a funeral service to be part of it in Port Harcourt. And do you know what the sons and daughters of the deceased woman said to me? Please, your coming may heighten tension. We don't want a situation where you are kidnapped or there is crisis because you're there. You are sleeping with your eyes wide open. There's insecurity everywhere. There's crime walking naked in broad daylight, and it appears government is powerless. And guess what? When the president spoke tough, maybe choice of words now created another set of problems because it focused on a particular group and it appears he neglected another group. Believe me, I will not begin to say, oh, we would have done better. It's easier to be critical than to be correct. I would have said, maybe, just maybe, God on our side, it would have been different because grace will be sufficient.
Wow. Thank you for that. I will just move right into the next question because there is a lot of questions pouring in here. I want to see if we can get as many of them as possible. You recently preached about a Bible character called Jephthah and linked him to Asiwaju Tinubu. Many Nigerians consider that message as promoting Tinubu for the 2023 presidency. Could you please clarify?
You know, opinions are like noses. Everybody has it and they all look different. 12 years ago, I met the core leadership of the Afenifere. And I did say to them, right under your watch, Tinubu is becoming an Iroko tree. And if you know Yoruba proverb very well, they said, if you don't cultivate Iroko tree right from its infancy, when it becomes big and humongous, people will be taking sacrifices to it. He has used his position as governor of Lagos State and governor emeritus to ensure that almost the entire Southwest were within his palm. Ogun State, Oyo State, Ekiti State, Osun State, in addition to Lagos State, perhaps the only one that was not in his grip, even Edo State, was the one that he was not controlling at a point in time was Ondo State because Mimiko was there who contested on the platform of Labour Party. Now with this, he had entrenched himself as a force to reckon with in the Southwest politics. And now, not only that, he now stepped into our cultural values and cultural space and began to influence who becomes an Oba, while the rest of us were asleep. He was working day and night. We might need to sit with him as the people of Gilead sat with Jephthah. And what were the issues about Asiwaju Bola Tinubu? That he's corrupt. He himself said so, and I said so in that broadcast, that he learned how to be transparently corrupt from OBJ. It was a public thing and not making that up. They say he's corrupt. They say he's this. They say he's that. He's not from Lagos. He's not from this. Whereas what we're advocating is no Nigerian will be judged by his antecedent and pedigree. I'm not talking of character now. I'm talking of where you were born. Every Nigerian should. Look at America. Look at where you are. Arnold Schwarzenegger was not born in America. It's a nation of immigrants. And listen, why don't we sit and have one voice and be able to negotiate on the table of brotherhood? Now, those who say I'm promoting Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the last time I saw him physically, one-on-one, that we had any interaction whatsoever, was at the funeral of my mother 3 years ago, to start with. Number two, if I'm promoting him to be the next president, I'm endorsing him, it simply means all I've said about what God said to me concerning Nigeria, I've thrown into the dustbin. I'm saying, let us sit down and reason and not tear ourselves apart. The Yoruba will say, Igi Yoda, Eyokuro, no, Igi Yoda, this tree is bad, remove it. This one is insect infected or disease, remove it. Which wood we cook the yam? And many people are pontificating. If they have opportunity, many of them will do worse. I've seen it in Nigeria over and over again. Except men who are thoroughly equipped and furnished by God and enabled by God, you don't get into the place of power where you can call your finance minister or call your CBN governor to bring so much to you without anyone controlling you or anyone, without accountability or institutional safeguards. Many will do worse. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power will bring the corruption in you out, and absolute power will bring all the corruption in you out. You can say all you like about Tinubu, you may not like his face, but he has raised people.
Yeah.
BRF, Ambode, Sanwo-Olu, Fayemi, Aregbesola, the vice president of Nigeria, they all pass through him. And if Tinubu is a leper with 10 fingers rotting, then all these people also should be looked into who had been with him. I do not judge any man by his past, because every saint has a past and every sinner has a future.
Thank you for your objectivity in answering that question. And I think it's a food for thought that if you are talking about God's plan for you going forward as a president, I think it would be counterproductive to also be endorsing another person for presidency. So yeah, thank you for that. I have a question here. It says, you have variously referred whoever does not know what restructuring is, you have referred them to the 1963 Nigerian Republican Constitution. Are you saying we should go back to parliamentary style of government and regional federating units?
Parliamentary system of government is cheaper by every means you can imagine. Every means you can imagine is cheaper. But if you are going to still retain the presidential system, we do not want to go back to the cheaper version of parliamentary system. What we are focusing on in the 1963 Republican Constitution is the devolution of power, not to have a very, very strong center, over-bloated center that's so powerful that makes the rest of the states and federating units inconsequential. Power must devolve to the states and to the local government. That's the essence there. And to create such an environment of economic competitiveness, our emphasis in our center, ICR, the International Center for Reconstruction and Development, is not so much geopolitical thing, but geo-economic survival of our nation and our regions. There is no state in Nigeria, I repeat, there is no state in Nigeria without mineral resources, none. But the center holds everything, and some part of it have been exploited, others are not being exploited. Let's set ourselves free from this lopsided arrangement, and let there be freedom and liberty for each region or each state or each geopolitical zone to begin to drive its own destiny the way it deems fit, to choose the people they want to represent them at the state level, at the local government level, and at the federal level, and power to devolve. We can use the model of the 1963 Republican Constitution to accomplish that, whether we want to go presidential or go parliamentary. To be honest with you, no system is perfect. Those who run it will make it accomplish the set objectives, or they can undermine everything and still become dictatorial.
True. Thank you very much, sir. I mean, I can speak to that, the fact that there is no system that is perfect. We live in Canada and we see that. Thank you. There is a new question here. You've said that there is no army as strong as an idea whose time has come. How does
Victor Hugo said that. I just quoted Victor Hugo.
Yes, sir. How does this resonate with the state of ethnic agitation being witnessed in Nigeria today?
Well, you see, all the ethnic agitation, whether by IPOB or by those who are clamoring for Dudua Republic, is because of felt needs, marginalization, and all kinds of things they say. Now, if you look at the federal government, there is no state that does not have a minister at the federal level. There's no single state that does not have. But if you look at institutions like the military, it's an institution where those who are in there must earn their position. You can't say, we want Igbo chief of army staff. Therefore, everyone who had been in the queue, class 36 or course 37 or course this, we just, no. Some of these things are not just be done arbitrarily. But many have said, oh, this thing is not working anymore. We are better off in the pre-independence and Republican, the regional era before the military intervention. Therefore, we want our own republic right now. All those clamor for secession or separatist agenda will stop when we bring in fairness, equity, decentralization of power, and you restructure, then everyone has the opportunity, or every region has the opportunity to administer itself the way it likes, choose their own people. I think the agitation is simply days. A constitution that will not bend will break. And those who make peaceful transition impossible, they're already facilitating violent disruptions everywhere. We need to sit down and think and face these things headlong before it consumes us. I do not support that Nigeria breaks. I've never advocated it. I'm not going to advocate it tomorrow. We are better off, but I will not also support that we become slaves or subjects of tyranny in our own country. How we balance it will be the responsibility of statesmen and politicians to rise up to the occasion and say, we are better than this. But we are not going to coexist side by side when certain people will be slaves and others will be rulers. As a matter of fact, the office of the citizen in Nigeria must become the most important office, because those who are elected are supposed to serve us. They are servants of the people. The purpose of government is the welfare and the security of the people. And if you're not getting that, if you have to get your own vigilante, if you have to get your own security, if you have to dig your own borehole, if you have to power your house with generator, if you have to patch the front of your gate and the road around you, then you are saying government is not necessary to your tent, O Israel. But we don't want your tent, O Israel. That was a blunder of Rehoboam. We must have a Davidic order and a Joseph order and a Daniel order in our country. And we are striving for that, and we will get it. Do not listen to just the clamor of secessionists. Also, you don't know what is going on behind the scene and the kind of pressure that's been put on government, that the best way to take the storm or the steam out of the boat of secessionists is not to clamp down on them, is to listen to their cries and say, let us sit and renegotiate. That's all.
Thank you. And I think that speaks to the Nigerian ideal you were talking about. That it is not necessarily the absence of disagreement, but where leaders can come together and then come up with an agreeable and acceptable framework for our coexistence.
You got it?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have a question here. It says, what are your plans regarding assuming a political role in the Nigerian nation?
I'm keeping my powder dry. I've said over and over again that change will come in 2021, and I'm keeping that powder dry. So you can ask me that question after 2021. The truth of the matter is, many people are so scared of politics, they call it dirty, and they don't want to touch it at all. But we are the salt of the earth, the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hidden. To every crisis in Egypt, there's a Joseph. To the crisis in Babylon, there's a Daniel. And you can look at Esther also, and Deborah, and all of them, male and female, used by God. But we are not going to just play the game according to unrighteous men and using unrighteous means. We are going to participate fully. It was Edmund Burke who said, those who will not participate in politics and who are so scared to participate should be prepared to endure the rule of idiots. They should not complain at all when those who are less competent and less capable of doing things are the one in charge. I'll tell you an experience without taking excess time to explain this. A colleague of mine was called to the bar same day with me, who now sits at the Supreme Court, needed to get some allowances. And the Supreme Court standard is he must go to his local government for all those demands to be stamped, and then they will pay him or her his due. She went to the local government, and they said, sorry, your ward representative, councillor, is not here today. You need to come back tomorrow. She had to wait in Lagos to see this able, powerful councillor. And you know who he was? The plumber that was fixing her plumbing works at home before now. Because none of you would rather start from local government. She said, Iwani. He said, yes, ma'am. My condition make crayfish bend. Status has changed, ma'am. Can I stamp it for you? Thank you. You can go. God bless you. And she left the place shaking her head. You look at Britain, look at America, look at Canada. They sit down to attract the best of their brain from universities and plug them into their civil service to formulate policies 25 years down the line. We take dropouts and we want them to deliver as they are delivering in other nations of the earth. We must get involved. But as for me, please take it to the bank. We understand the principle of contact without contamination. We've been in it, and we're not going to get out of it until we turn Nigeria right side up. That's it. It's a lifelong commitment, and we'll see change. The Lord God Almighty will serve Buhari through 4 or 3 electoral cycles, not winning, until we say, you know what? Let's do it this way, and you win. He resisted. He said, no more. And said, no, you are going to do it. That same God is alive, and you'll be witnesses when it happens. We are not backing off. If you are quiet, it's because deep rivers flow with majestic silence.
Okay. I'm beginning to wonder what's in the mind of Nigerians and participants as they listen to this question. And I'm kind of tempted to ask this one right away. By way of priority, would you rather do your best to see that Nigeria works, even if you have to give your support to another in Nigeria's #1 position? Or is it a must that you be the driver of the vehicle?
The truth of the matter is, men who are self-centered and selfish do not know that that's the greatest curse of the human race. Believe me, the moment I see someone better, someone stronger with better ideas, much more qualified, that can do this job and is as passionate and is willing to do it, and the people endorse him, I'll give that person my support regardless of his ethnicity or religion. It's not a life and death matter for me that I must be. I'm already fulfilled. I'm already serving. Somebody said, would you like to be a minister? I said, that's beneath me. I've been a minister for 32 years. You may call it a minister of the gospel. It's beneath me. Do you understand me? But remember, the office of the president can only be occupied by one person at a given time. And every right-thinking citizen must support that individual, whether it's from the north or from the south, and whether it's Muslim or Christian or male or female.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The Constitution of Nigeria could be said to have been imposed on Nigeria and Nigerians. This constitution seems to be a fundamental problem that Nigeria is going through. How can we create a constitution that is by Nigerians, for Nigerians, and operatable by Nigerians?
It must be a constitution that Nigerians agree and subscribe to. And the way to do that is to allow people selected or voted, whatever means, appointed from different groups to sit down and carve it. And then you subject it to referendum and the people say, we are for it. It's not a complex situation at all. You see, all this trying to tinker with the Constitution, I'm just laughing because the process, let me just restrain myself there because I don't want others to think their efforts are not appreciated. The truth of the matter is you can paper wall a crack all you want to. It's a question of time. The crack will surface. A clean man who jumps into a sewage tank and does not want to smell or want to smell like roses is wasting the time. This Constitution is not by the people and is not for the people. Is so warped that every right-thinking person who looks at it, you just do it. You can go on the internet, take the 1993 Republican Constitution and put it side by side by Yadudu manufactured constitution imposed by the military, forced on us by the military. Even President Obasanjo did not see the constitution that is war to because he had not been prepared that money was sworn into power. All those things are in the public domain. It's not for us, it's not by us. It's nothing but a fraud, especially because it says, we the people of Nigeria. When did we see to agree on it? That constitution is a question of time. It's just going to be discarded. And it will be part of our history. I said it this morning in one of the interviews I'd granted today while I was in Abuja before I came to Lagos late morning, that those who arrested Abiola for treasonable felony till he died in detention should also think of those who discarded the hope of every Nigerian that voted in 1993 and know that the people who are guilty of treason are those who have been using their weapon and their uniform to harass Nigerians. We need to go back and redo some of these things. Thank God we are not peeling old wounds. We are leaving the past behind us. We are moving ahead. We are not going to be looking in the rear mirror to drive forward. But at the same time, we cannot continue to accept this nonsense as our constitution. It's a mumbo jumbo. It's not Nigerian constitution. It's military imposed constitution.
Agreed. Thank you, Dr. Bakare. Going back into history, the amalgamation of Nigeria was done for administrative purposes. Today, our cooperative togetherness has become unfriendly and unattractive again. Is true federalism possible in Nigeria? And if not, can we have a bloodless split to tribal nation?
Well, thank you very much. You mentioned amalgamation. Some will say colonialism. Everybody has something to latch onto. But my Bible simply tells me in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 17, that's my GPS, is the greatest political literature that I've studied in my life. And nations that prosper, even when they don't know the person of Christ, will follow the principles of Christ, they still prosper. In Acts 17, he said, God Almighty predetermined the boundaries of every nation and the time of their visitation. You can call it balkanization, you can call it what name you like, but can you imagine how, by whatever means we came together, We've been around ourselves for a long time. Maybe you don't know. The amalgamation of Nigeria stopped so many wars, intertribal wars, of us against us destroying ourselves. I'm not one saying colonialism was the best thing that happened to us, but we had been engaging ourselves and then working with ourselves. Do you want to know the truth? That my father was already operating in a village called Shagari, had a farm there in 1936, a cotton farm. It would ship kola nut to Sokoto, and it would ship cotton to the south. And if you get to his grave till today, you still see the name written there, Sonny Arewa. I took President Buhari to see it. He built his house in 1922. We've worked, we've collaborated together for so many years. Now, let me give you some examples. Again, they may sound pedestrian and simple. Pastor Ike in our church is probably the oldest person apart from me in that church today. He's married to an Ijebu woman. He's Igbo. Are their children Ijebu Igbo or Ijebu Igbo? We've come a long way intermarrying, doing things together. We are better off together than splitting and going our different ways. However, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher said, Nigeria is not a nation. It's an artificial creation of the British Empire. You can look at that and say, wow, profundity. Let us discard this artificial creation. But do you realize that the 12 sons of Jacob were sons of slaves and sons of the hated woman and sons of the loved woman? Rachel had 2. Leah had 6. 2 slaves had 2 each. They became 12 sons of Jacob. They became 12 tribes of Israel. And today, you cannot find any tribe of Israel. You have one nation of Israel. And Israel is a prototype. He said, Israel is my son, my firstborn, not my only child. There are other nations named after God and called after his name. If we can just find a way of benefiting from our differences rather than letting them divide us, you'll see that there will be no civilization better than what is coming from Africa in the days to come. I still am persuaded. I read it in 1972 in the book written by Nnamdi Azikiwe in 1937 called Renascent Africa, that the greatest civilization is going to come from Africa.
So you are not giving splits a chance in Nigeria?
No.
You would rather that, good, okay.
I have relations, I have friends who are across, east, west. I've benefited from this country. We are better together, but not as slaves and not in servitude or in slavery or marginalized. No, 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 no. There must be dignity. Right must become might in our nation.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bakare. Well, I have a question here for you. You have declared that you will be the number 16 president of Nigeria. You certainly have an excellent grasp of the Nigerian problems and possible solutions, and will not be an accidental public servant. However, a lot of people see you as politically structureless. What is your comment?
Can you repeat that word again and spell it for me? Politically what?
Structureless, without a structure, basically.
They don't see what I see. They don't know what I know. Let's face this. I don't want to go into history. I would have been asking you, what was the structure of Joseph? He came from prison to become the father of Pharaoh and ruler over all Egypt. What was the structure of Daniel, other than the wisdom and the spirit of God in him? I would have asked you, what was the structure of Esther that participated in a beauty contest and became the queen and saved his people from extinction? But they will say those are Bible days. Well, I would also like to say, what was the structure of the vice president of Kissinger, who became president. It was not his vice president. Not Kissinger, I beg your pardon. I'm thinking of the Watergate scandal. Richard Nixon. His vice president dropped, and he brought in another vice president, and shortly after that, Watergate scandals broke out after he had become vice president without participating in the election. And what was the structure of Olusegun Obasanjo, who was in prison and was not part of building PDP until they said, we need you to stabilize the nation. And IBB came to the South for the first time since he left to come and talk to him, that they have said, you be the man for it. I have structure that you do not know about.
Okay.
And it's building and it's strong. And I've demonstrated it over and over again. I remember when SNG was to do first march in Abuja. I called civil society organizations into Sheraton that day, and I said, this is the vision God has showed me. We're going to march. We must stop this decadence and this derailment that's going on. And they said, where will you get people from? I said, when you get to Abuja, you'll find out. We'll build structure and cells across this nation all these years. You will see when the time comes. But finally, see what the Lord said. He said, lift up your eyes. Do you not say in 4 months there'll be harvest? This is John chapter 5. Lift up your eyes. It's white already. The field is white already. I'm sending you to reap where you do not bestow labor. Others have labored. You are entering into their harvest. Muhammadu Buhari was in ANPP. They didn't start ANPP. It was part of it. Then we started CPC that we ran together on this platform. Was it the sole figure in CPC? No, it's collaborative efforts. When that time comes, you see structure. And men saying, they went to look for David where he was. Listen to Pharaoh. Is there any man in whom the Spirit of God dwells like this man that we can have asked to do this job? God has a way of turning the hearts of king and the hearts of citizens. Nigeria is about to experience a powerful demonstration of the God factor.
Okay, I guess we're just really desperate. We would just love to see something right in front of us. But your message to us today is wait and see.
Well, don't wait and see. This is part of it.
Yeah.
The enlightenment is going on. The campaign is already on. You can't stop it. But I want to say something to you. The number 16 metaphor has so many connotations that people don't understand. If you get into my father's house, which is a museum now, there are 16 steps from down to the top. And I can begin to lecture you on what informed that 16th number. And on a joking side, just joking about it, do you know why I don't go to cinema at all to watch films? I don't. Because the 16th president of America died in a cinema hall. His name is Abraham Lincoln. I can crack jokes around number 16. I want you to know that number 16 is a metaphor for a desire to serve the nation and to rescue it from this part of destruction. And we will do it together with others, and others will do it together with us. And you see, when the day comes, I will invite you to the inauguration.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Another question here. It says, in what way can religious tolerance be engendered in Nigeria because our religious activism is a headache?
Your religion is like your wristwatch. It's a private thing. Nigeria, even with this warped constitution, remains a secular state in name. In name, because you will find Islam, mosque, Sharia mentioned in that constitution severally, about 200 and something times, but you not find Jesus, church, or Christian mentioned once. So it's secular in name, and we are like opposed ideologically. But if you look at the people, I'm talking of real Nigerians, not the elites who cause trouble, you will see that they interact very peacefully. Look in the Southwest and show me one family where they are all Christians and you don't have a part of the family but Muslims and sometimes being traditionalists, those who practice traditional religion. Religion should not be an issue. I hate religion with passion because the word religion, the word religion is derived from the Greek word religio, and it means return to bondage. God, Christianity is not religion, it's relationship with God. And if Islam, for example, means peace, then it should advocate peace and not the kind of crisis we are seeing by those who call the name of Allah and still abduct four-year-old children, abduct helpless girls, and rape them and do all kinds of things. And by the way, if you think our religion is a problem, if Islam is a problem of the world, what is happening in Dubai? What's happening in Saudi Arabia, in UAE? I've been in those countries. I've preached in some of them. Do you understand me? Why are they progressing and we are retarding and retrogressing? Elites are using religion, not the ordinary people. They love themselves, they care about themselves, and sometimes they intermarry. I can give you names. Bola Tinubu is married to a Christian. His wife is an assistant pastor. BRF is married to a Catholic. And it's all across like that. In the north, you'll be amazed that they intermarry, and you will see the present deputy governor of Kaduna State, for example. You won't believe that his mother is a Christian. Let's not use religion to divide ourselves further. And by the way, I was a Muslim who became a Christian and a pastor. I understand both. I'm like Moses, too much of a Jew to be an Egyptian, and too much of an Egyptian to be a Jew.
Thank you, sir. How do you plan to overcome the suspicions of each group, especially minorities, to achieve the vision of a restructured Nigeria?
Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory was one of the advocates of creation of regions and states to cater especially for minority groups. And he advocated in his book long before now that we cannot neglect the minority because we are more than they are. If they are going to be part of their country, they must have dignity, self-respect, and they must have a say in how the affairs of this nation is run. And that was why it was too glad to see the creation of Midwest out of the then Western region. And if you look at the old Western region now and see how many states that come out of it, it's because of his passion to see that the minority groups are not neglected. Wherever you have oppression, after a while, the people who cannot take it will fight. And you continue to see demand for recognition forever and ever. There are too many ways. Look at the Middle Belt. They don't want to be called what were they called before? They are fighting it with everything in them now to say we want to be different. We don't want to be part of the North. We don't. No, let us be part of Nigeria. East, West, North, and South. Home is still the best. Let's make it our home, and let's recognize that minority that is right will become the majority. Majority that is wrong will become the minority. It's only a question of time, because others will be raised from amongst them that will deliver them. The Gileadites were so despised. The Galileans were so despised, but see what Jesus did with it. Remember Philip? He said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? They said, come and see. God came out of there. God will raise stars from among them who will be larger than life and who will command the respect of the entire nation. And while men slept, an enemy could do something, but when men are sleeping, God also does something. How did Ebele Jonathan become president of Nigeria? Look at the sovereignty of God. He was not a politician. He was minding his business. And then he became a deputy governor. After a little while, he became acting governor. Before he could contest the election to become governor again, he became vice presidential candidate, vice president, acting president, president, all in 10 years. What structure did he have? So God, who created the majority, also created the minority. And because he's the creator, he knows who would do it and who will move the nation forward. Let's not look at, that's why in the manifesto of CPC, one of the things you see there is no longer in Nigeria will anybody fill a form where you will have to write state of origin. It will be state of residence. You want to see your character, your capacity, your capabilities, and not whether you're minority or majority. We'll be Nigerians first, and then where you come from will be a matter of details if it's necessary.
State of residence, that sounds powerful. That's powerful. Thank you, sir. Another question here. You have a strong and admirable character. Some Nigerians have also seen these as a weakness, especially among your fellow Christian religious leaders, the ones you once have called religious dealers. If you want to become number 16 that will lead the process of restructuring, how do you hope to get the support of these, your primary constituency as a pastor?
Interesting. I'm going to answer this question two ways. A little while ago, a young man who's gone to glory now said, oh, we have not endorsed so-and-so to be so-and-so. And I called the person, I said, tell me who your group has endorsed that has become anything. It is sad that Christians have a way of encouraging division among themselves that the devil does not need to lift a finger. I remember standing firm and standing strong to support Vice President and Professor Yemi Osinbajo. God knows, and some of the people still know what role we played to ensure, and we are still playing to ensure that he succeeds for three reasons. Number one, is a Christian, is a pastor. Number two, is a lawyer. Number three, is a Yoruba man. His success is my success, his failure is my failure. That's the way I see it. The day is coming when it will be one for all and all for one. All you need is one visionary leader like Joseph that will sit those who sold him into slavery and who betrayed him, sit them down and give them the best place in Egypt. With malice towards none, if you have mastered how to do good to those who wrong you, in no time, those who become your enemy will become your well-wishers. If a man's way pleases the Lord, he will make even his enemies to become his well-wishers or to be at peace with him. I do not fight the body of Christ at all. I fight religion. I fight doctrinal pollution, not individuals, not even their frailties or character defects. I have mine. Everybody does. I love the Lord. I love the body of Christ. And you know what Jesus said? For this reason, many of you are sick, many of you are weak, and many of you are asleep, not discerning the body of the Lord. I don't fight the body of Christ. I rise in the defense of the gospel and point the way it should be. And I'd never have claimed that I have monopoly of wisdom or monopoly of revelation. And those who know me well will tell you, I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. I say, oh, what I said yesterday was wrong. Let's correct it now, move on. In conclusion, to answer that question, you're from a family, definitely. Do you agree with all members of your family?
No, sir.
Do all members of your family agree with you?
No, sir.
And when there is wedding, do you attend?
Yes, sir.
When there is funeral, do you attend?
I do.
Some things will bring us together, whether we like it or not.
Thank you, sir. That was powerful. Thank you. There is a question here that says, I strongly believe, not me, I'm reading the question. I strongly believe that your destiny is closely knitted with the destiny of Nigeria and that of the 16th presidency. However, one gray area has been how can a good man vie and clean the mess in the National Assembly and the executive arm? Also, how is the spirit leading you towards running without any of the big parties? I know you've kind of touched on it, but I knew there was a new question there.
Well, let me say, as presently constituted, there's no room for independent candidacy in Nigeria. You cannot be. You have to be part of any of the registered parties. And some of the registered parties are shell parties that they just pull from the shell when they miss opportunity here and they cross there. As far as I'm concerned, there are only two major parties in Nigeria today, PDP and APC. It was my privilege to move the motion in the March of 2012 in Eagle Square, the motion that brought ACN, CPC, ANPP, and all of them together. So when the right time comes, you will see what party will be. But I will not run as an independent candidate when the time comes. And if you care to know, someone saw me in the villa yesterday, said, "Welcome, landlord." And I said, "Thou say it." We're joking about it. I will not run as an independent candidate because there's no room for it. I would definitely be part of a party when that time comes, you will see. And I want you to know, when I ran as part of CPC, I sat in the house. They brought the forms to me. When the time comes, you will know. And I don't want to disclose which party now, but I do know definitely it can be PDP.
Thank you. That's a little more clarifying. Thank you. I have a final question here, sir. Where there is no vision, the people perish. I do not understand what Nigeria stands for. What is and what should be the vision of Nigeria that all of us can and should embrace?
That question, can you repeat it? Because I was following you then. What vision can
and should Nigerians embrace? I'll read it from the beginning, sir.
Okay.
Where there is no vision, the people perish. I do not understand what Nigeria stands for. What is and what should be the vision of Nigeria that all of us can and should embrace?
Sometimes we confuse these things and take scripture that is applicable to an individual or a group of people and generalize it. Now, if you look at the Nigerian society or the Nigerian nation, there have been vision this, vision that, vision 2020, and they are all more or less just mantras on piece of paper because we have not forged nationhood and we do not even know how nationhood can break down into statehood so that we can function properly. But let me say this. Almighty God created nations. It was his idea. Nations were created by him. He first created the institution of the family and called it the holy institution of marriage. It's the only thing referred to as institution in the entire Bible. Why? Because whether in government, private sector, or public sector, everyone you see there comes from a family. So that's the strongest institution. Now, then from there, he created government. And I've just shared with you this evening why government is necessary, because there'll be rules and regulations and there'll be people to enforce them. And government is God's idea, not man's idea. In fact, all the institutions, all the arms of government are rooted in God. Isaiah 32, the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. But a national vision sometimes starts from pioneering vision of the founding fathers. When the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Herbert Macaulay to start with, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, began to capture the vision of how their people can be delivered from ignorance, from poverty, from sickness, from disease. Eventually, they began to sell that idea or those visions to their own people. Whenever you see a corporate vision on a wall, it's not just a wall statement. There must be a pioneering vision that empowers other people. So what empowers other people plus that pioneering vision is what becomes a corporate vision. That is, every man finds fulfillment of destiny within that space called a national vision. 1 out of every 4 or 5 Black people in the world is a Nigerian. Why are we there so many? What does God want to say about the Black people in the world? I remember late Dr. Frederick Price invited me, courtesy of my sister, Dr. Patricia Bailey, who is watching this right now. And they gave me a topic, here comes the Cushite, to speak on. And when I took the microphone, I said, I'm not Cushite. My name is Tunde Bakare. I'm not Black. I'm blessed. Black in the natural is beauty. In the spirit is darkness. White in the natural is leprosy. In the spirit is purity. God, who is mighty in Paul to the Gentiles, is mighty in Peter to the Jews. You say, what am I trying to say? Why did he create what you call Black people? And why are majority of them Nigerians? Wherever you find them in the world, what is this about? Look, you talk of the aggression of Nigerians, you talk of their versatility. Wherever you find them, you see dominion and things taking place in them. There's a national vision that has not been harnessed, and that is to give a pride of place to Black men everywhere in the world. Nigeria is supposed to champion that. And Nelson Mandela said, Africa or the Black race will never, I don't believe in Black race though, I must say that. I believe in human race. I believe in African people. There's only one human race. God created only one race, human race. He said, except Nigeria gets its acts together, Black people all over the world cannot occupy the rightful positions they will occupy. So we are supposed to be leaders holding for the torch of liberty, of everything positive about Black people, so that we can sit on the table of nations and the Committee of Nations and say, oh, the brain of a Black man is not different from that of a white man. And honestly, a Black man can give blood to even a Jew, talk less of other Gentiles like themselves. So there's a national vision we have not harnessed, and that is to give the pride of place to the Black people everywhere in the world by Nigerian raising the standard. In 1980, my first trip to the UK, I landed in London without a visa. When I got there, I got visa for 6 months right there at point of entry. And guess what? When I entered, I went to Oxford Street and I entered these big shops, especially Harrods. It was displayed there conspicuously. Naira is received there, Ekabo, Sonu, it was all there. But something happened the years of the vampires, of the years of the locusts came and devastated us. When I traveled first time, 1 Naira was $1.08. Today, $1 is 500 Naira. We'll reverse that trend. There's so much resource in this land that no Nigerian child should go to bed hungry. And by the grace of God, the reason they have not been able to access some of those resources is because the wasters are still in charge. A new breed without greed is about to rise.
Amen.
At every level of government, in the judiciary, in the legislature, in the executive arm, it will shock the world. And they will come to ask us, how did we do it? And we'll say, this is not the work of any man. This is the work of God. It's not religion. It's what I envision. I see it every day. Every Nigerian will be able to raise his head. And many, many people will naturalize, as it happened in the days of Esther, that people became Jews because of the fear of Jews. Because of what we're going to do in the world, you will see people coming here to take our passport and to naturalize.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bakare. Thank you. This has been enlightening, this has been engaging, this has been extremely fulfilling for me, just moderating this question and answer. And I thank you for all the clarifications that you provided with your responses. This is truly a dialogue, and I believe that Nigerians have been engaged and questions in the hearts of many Nigerians have been answered. Well, thank you very much once again. Patriotic Nigerians, there you have it today. We all have a part to play in the Nigeria we deserve, but it starts with a choice not to give up, because to give up is to do nothing. To give up is to give in to corruption, decadence, banditry, insecurity, and ultimately a failed state. The choice is ours. I want to thank you, Dr. Bakare, for your passionate responses and call to action. I believe this dialogue is one of many that will continue in the days ahead. And as we continue to believe and to work towards the Nigeria of our dreams, this new Nigeria will emerge not many days from now. Thank you once again for being our guest at today's Democracy Day Dialogue and for passionately sharing your heart and your thoughts with us. Thank you. Over to you, Deborah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fumi, for that wonderful session. Everybody, I want to believe that everybody has something that they're taking away today that will inspire us to go and build the Nigeria that we all want to see and we all want to hand over to the next generation. I will call on the convener of this group to come and give his vote of thanks. Adebayo Adejuwon.
Well, thank you very much, Deborah. Our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Tunde Bakare, our most valued guest from across the globe, ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of PTB for Nigeria in Canada Group, I extend a very active vote of thanks to everyone here present without exception, as I first and foremost give glory to God Almighty, the giver of life, through whom all plans are accomplished. I thank Dr. Tunde Bakare for honoring us today, just as he did in 2018. And I'm just throwing it out there, we are still going to call you again and again and again. I thank the men and women, the boys and girls, young and old citizens of Nigeria who are participants of this conversation. I thank Mr. Akin Fadeyi, founder, CEO of Akin Fadeyi Foundation and the convener of Corruption, Not My Country Project. Thank you so very, very much. I also thank Tolu Ajayi and Iniolua for giving us that youthful voice. We have listened to you. I guarantee you we will not disappoint you, and you'll be part of what we are doing in the days ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, please indulge me as I thank Mr. Azu Ishekwene, Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief of Leadership Newspapers, Mr. Simon Kolawole of The Cable, Mr. Richard Akinolatu, former editor of Vanguard Newspapers, author, writer, and media lawyer, as well as Mr. Dimola One, editor of the Punch newspapers. I will also want to thank Mr. Samson Folari of Punch newspapers for the pre-event story published in the Punch newspaper on June the 3rd, 2021, and for the post-event media stories that will follow. Nigerians are looking forward to reading more stories on today's conversation, not only in Punch newspapers, but also in other media publications. I'm confident that Mr. Simon Kolawole will not disappoint. I'm also confident that Mr. Azu will go beyond board to give us stories that we can relate with. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to thank the membership of PTB for Nigeria and Canada Group, who individually and collectively work so tirelessly. You can't imagine what these guys have done. I don't even know where they got the energy. I'm the laziest among them, and they tolerate me nonetheless. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to bring today's event to a close as we sign off from Zoom and YouTube, and as we go back in pursuit of our private citizens, and as we commit ourselves to the nuggets, the basic thing, the highlights that we are taking away from here. One thing I will promise you is this is just the beginning of a lot of conversation, and it's not just going to be talk, and talk alone. No, We're going to be having series of dialogue. We're going to be bringing the like of Azu, Simon Kolawole, and a host of others, in a discussion, in a panel discussion where we'll explore some of these things to put concrete effect to all the things that we have heard today. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you all. If I didn't mention your name, it's not because you are important. Indeed, you are very important. That office is the office of the citizen, and we all belong there. Where the most important, our leaders are actually those who are there to serve us. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very sincerely for being here today, for taking the time out of all the things that you probably might have been doing to be part of this program. And I'm confident that the new Nigeria we seek, we desire, we hope for is right behind the corner. You only need to look deep and ask yourself, what am I doing? And I know we will do well. Thank you so very much. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
If you believe and I believe, and we all work for it, Almighty God will grant us grace. Nigeria will be saved. Nigeria will be saved. Nigeria will be changed. Almighty God will grant us grace. Nigeria will be great. If you believe and I believe, and we all work for it, Almighty God will grant us grace. Nigeria will be saved. Nigeria